Sun in the hizzle, all but shizzle bizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Today. So, y'all see the title. The final offer for peace is going down this week. Today is Wednesday. Uh, the final offer of peace will be put on the table for Zelensky and NATO. Trump is putting a peace offer that has been, I think, what's his name? Not. Damn. Now all of a sudden the brother's name is leaving my mind at the moment. But peace talks have been discussed in Russia between Russia and the U.S. And so uh, NATO and Zelensky could either take it or leave it. They can either take it or leave it. Um, Trump will walk away if NATO doesn't accept this deal. Trump will walk away, possibly, and then there will be steps of the U.S. leaving NATO if this is not agreed upon. So, um, at this point, the purpose of NATO doesn't even make any sense anymore. A lot of those NATO countries have not paid their fair share, and so, in the U.S. dealing directly with Russia, it's it kind of makes NATO obsolete and pointless at this point. So the final offer will be now. What's interesting about this whole final peace plan is that Trump is trying to offer one thing that Russia, Ukraine, and NATO, the European nations, have in common with America. All four of them have in common is China. China being their real enemy. Now, uh, one thing that NATO, like I said, one thing that Ukraine, Zelensky, and Putin agree on is that China, no, we want to, and also you got countries in Asia standing against China too. A lot of them don't want to, India wants to take the place of China. What other country? Malaysia, India. There's a lot of major uh, industrial nations that want to economically uh, pivot against China. So Russia and Ukraine can be a part of this too. They can be part of this allegiance against China being the major power. And so Trump is saying, look, this war, is bigger than the conflict you guys are having. Yeah, we understand that that Ukraine and Russia are having this dispute, and what Trump is saying is that we're if we don't all come together, that including NATO, that including China. I'm sorry, not China. That including Russia, Ukraine, and Europe. We have got to stand together economically, come together, which is a bigger fight against China because it all, at the end of the day, even though Russia and Ukraine, even inside Ukraine, they have the civil war within the Donbass. This is bigger than that. This is bigger than that. So we have to be willing to stand aside those differences and look at the bigger problem. If China becomes the economic power, well, what Trump is saying is that that will be devastating to not only Ukraine, to Russia, to the U.S., to Europe. Everybody will be at a disadvantage if China is allowed to become an economic power. So, um, The rest of Asia understands this. India understands this. So um, I'm guessing Benjamin Netanyahu understands this. I'm guessing Iran understands this. So uh, what Trump is presenting to the rest of the world is that China is the number one enemy. China, with Xi Jinping, economically wants to enslave the world. And so the world has to come together against China. Everybody put aside their differences. So this is the final peace plan to Zelensky and to NATO because Trump has a bigger target, and that being China. And so he needs the either need your cooperation or either you take the deal or you don't. If you don't take the deal, then it's going to be at your disadvantage, NATO, because NATO is not in a good position to have America lead NATO. That's number one. And of course, uh, Ukraine is not in the position because Ukraine needs America also. Because if Russia gets the green light to wipe out NATO, I mean, I'm sorry, not NATO. If Russia gets the green light to wipe out Kiev, um, that will put Zelensky in a very bad spot and the people of Ukraine in a very, very, very bad spot. Um, but Putin is patient because Putin understands the bigger picture also. Because not only did our guy go over to Russia and talk about, squashing and understanding demands of Russia, but the bigger picture, like how are we going to deal with China? That's the really big talk. That's the important talk. And that's why I kept saying this whole, hold on, y'all, because this dude passed right by me. Let me get number sixes. Let me get sixes. Numero seis. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry about that, y'all. So, there we go. There we go. So, China, Xi Jinping is now trying to strong arm the rest of Asia to stand against America, and they're not doing it. So, apparently Trump has been talking to not only in his first administration, but he's been talking to these India and different countries. Mike JD Vance just came from India and made a pact with India. So apparently the rest of Asia has been plotting against China. They've been plotting against them, and so uh, in order for this thing to work, to isolate China, we need everybody's cooperation, and that's why peace. Uh, among the Ukrainians and Russia and NATO to understand that you gotta come to terms with Putin because he has to be our economical ally because Russia is the key to isolating China. Think about that. Russia is the key to isolating China economically to keep China from becoming a economic world power. Like when you talk about BRICS, China's in there. But what Trump understands and what Europe doesn't understand and Zelensky doesn't understand is that China and Russia are not natural allies. They are not allies. I mean, they're allies, but they're not allies. If that makes any sense, is that you know, Russia doesn't trust China. China doesn't trust Russia. Vice versa. And so Zelensky, not I'm saying Zelensky, Putin has been posturing with Xi Jinping. They're both posturing with each other as if they were allies. They're not allies. Deep down inside, they're ready to stab each other in the back because they don't trust each other, period. And Trump knows this. But Zelensky and NATO are so blinded by Putin that they don't understand that, China is a greater threat. They are economical threats, and that China is strong arming people because this is at the end of the day, it's all about economic control. And so This final plan is to get Zelensky on board, to get Zelensky on board, get Europe on board as far as uniting against China. So Trump wants that cooperation from NATO and from Zelensky. And in order to, that main key of that cooperation is to be, is to work with Putin, because Putin is the key to taking away China's total dominance, total economical dominance. So that's why this ending this war in Ukraine is key, and that's why I've been talking about it. And I hate to sound redundant about this whole Ukraine, but I can't wait for it to end. This whole Ukraine-Russia thing to end so that we can go to the next step. The next step is China. The next step, of course, also in the key of being at peace with Putin is the key to rationalizing with Iran. So this is where we're at now. And so this deal on Friday is the key to how things are going to be set against China. This war ending plays a big part, and this is why Trump wanted to end the war, because it is key to it is key. This ending this war is the key to the next step of dealing with China and making sure China doesn't become an economical powerhouse. So there we go. So stay tuned. I'm here at 10 o'clock every morning. I'm gonna make sure I stay consistent with the time, but y'all hit the like, share this video. And with that being said, there's some more news coming up, and I do want to touch on some other things. But yeah, that's the situation with China, or situation with Ukraine, which the Ukraine conflict is related to China, because we have to be at peace with Putin in order to um, create this a united front against China. So with that being said, thank y'all for the likes. I'm out, y'all. Peace.